Now, what is your guys' theory on what the purpose of these boxes was?
I like destroying theories about the purpose of the boxes.
Our favorite thing is to ask people to send us their theories and we destroy them.
I was trying to pry this out of It was like pulling teeth.
The thing that I think they make a really good hermetic seal. If you have enough precision on the lid and the box itself, they would basically ring together.
Yeah.
It's a way of, it's some kind of adhesion that happens
like
when you have very
adhesion.
flat
surfaces
that touch each other. You can't pull them apart.
Uh-huh.
You could slide them against each other, but you can't actually pull them apart. They make these sets of blocks to use to measure precision. They're precision
like
measuring
gauges.
tools
Yeah.
that you can take different thicknesses of block. Well, you need a certain length, so you grab a couple of different blocks and you ring them together. You can't pull them apart.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you can imagine a fine, precise, flat surface on the lid and the box, and you slide those lids together, then you may have a hermetic seal, so that you could contain something for a long period of time without it oxidizing or whatever being destroyed.
They also also act as a kind of a technological gate or a safe.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's so heavy and so massive and in such a tight enclosure that without some kind of technology like rope, capstan, wheels, the idea of the lever and pulley, you're not going to be able to open them. So you could effectively lock away something in these boxes from anybody that's not primitive, not advanced enough to open the box.
Mm. And I love the idea that, because all these boxes were empty when they were found in modern times.
Right.
I love the idea that they used to have something in them, and whoever came and opened all but one of these boxes knew the contents. They knew what was in them because they left one box unopened and it had nothing in it.
It was blown open in modern times and it was also empty.
So if you
how do we know that whoever blew it open didn't find what was in there?
Was that Mariette that did that?
I think we couldn't figure that out.
Was it Vise or Mariette?
I thought it was Vise.
It could have been Vise. Yeah,
Vise.
He liked to
Howard
use
Vise.
like gunpowder on stuff. Yeah.
Gosh,
some of the corners of these boxes
Vise,
are blown
I'm
off
I'm just telling you what is in the record, that box was blown open and it was empty.
Okay.
And he would have loved to have found like the
Right.
Apis bull or something in there.
Right.
So it's just if this was a vault that contained, for example, documents or some kind of knowledge, and that's what I'm saying. I just love this idea that somebody that had the knowledge of where they were and what contents were in the boxes would have come, opened them up, removed the contents, and never touched the one that was empty.
Yeah. Leave box number 13 alone. It's empty, but open all the rest of them.
And
right?
get the contents out of it.
Yeah. And they're all open. They're all open to just a certain amount, just like this.
Like if you were a bank robber and you went to rob all the safety deposit boxes and you had information on which ones had stuff in them, you would only open those.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm suggesting here.
They're not marked, are they?
Some of them have writing on them, one or two.
Now, when I asked Chris about this, he said he was very careful about giving just random theories about what he thinks they could be without evidence.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Because he writes books and he wants to be taken seriously and he doesn't want people to take clip something he said out of context and say, "Oh, this guy's a crackpot," which is fine. But when I was asking him, I was like really trying to drill down on like what he thinks they were. He said, "I need to read the book called Engines of Creation to understand what they were."
Oh.
Have you heard of that book?
Nope.
But I did listen to that show, so I need to read that book also. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember him saying that now that you mention it.
And he was saying there's a theory.
Is it like some kind of battery?
Well, yeah. So something about like crystals were grown in there. Or something was.
Oh yeah, you could do that. That's cool.
You could grow. Yeah. Yeah.
So you grow a giant crystal in there, and then we get the crystals out,
and then crystals turn into laser beams, which cut the stones.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah. Then what?
And then we put the lid back on.
Put the crystals in the pyramid so they vibrate.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot of missing stuff too. This is the other thing about going through these sites in Egypt is that, like Kyle was saying earlier, thousands of years of people have been going in and out of these places,
Right.
taking things, breaking stuff, removing
Right.
stuff, stealing stuff, adding things, putting candles in, you know, setting fires on things,
Right.
Worshipping stuff.
worshiping things, letting camels live in there and goats, and then of course there's all the environmental stuff, wind and sand and precipitation and just time. And so every one of these vaults that had a box in it also had 2 granite slabs to either side of each box that had false doors carved into them. There's a couple that are left, but most of them are all gone. So so then you start to see a picture of like, okay, there's a box and it's in its own particular alcove, and to either side are granite slabs facing it with these false doors cut into it. And you know, so what does that mean? Does that make it some kind of resonance chamber? You know, I don't know.
I find it hard to believe because, you know, this box doesn't want to move. It really badly wants to stay still.
Yeah.
This is not, I mean, but, you know, the sound waves inside, they like to be sustained. I mean, they're echoing, bouncing back and forth across the walls. So you go in there, and when you hit the, you know, the fundamental frequency of, like, say, the width of the box, it's
overpowering.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's incredible. And then you can find the one that's the height, and the width to the height they're slightly off, so they're a little dissonant. And if you can kind of get them both, they put this third beat in there, and it's just wild. It's
Yeah, and then the
it's
length
incredible.
of the box is pretty deep and
really hard to reach with my
Yeah, hard
voice,
to
but
reach.
You need a deep voice to be able to get the length frequency. But yeah, that, I mean, but you know, it's hard to imagine that. Okay, let me get down in there, and you slide the box closed so that I can resonate the box and, you know, reach enlightenment.
yeah.
You're gonna let me out, right?
Yeah.
You know? I don't know, dude. I don't know about that as a purpose.
Fuck, man.
It's just that, to me, seems to be that's just a result of whatever the actual function was, because the function resulted in these geometric proportions that make the sound resonance inside amazing.
This is a good example of they're aiming for this kind of perfection. Like, look at this edge.
The edge is like a razor.
I mean, it is perfect. This prism shape that they're going for, is awesome. But then they, for some reason, have scooped material off the front edge here, and then polished it, right? Yeah,
Why?
the scoops are all polished too, and it's hard to see the polish because of the dust.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like a mirror. There's a giant scoop taken out of that one.
Yeah, that one looks crazy.
So and then you see they smoothed it and polished it, right? So they're very concerned with removing, for whatever reason, whatever was contained in this part of the material, but then they carefully polish the remnant.
There are certain inclusions. I mean, you can see this in the quarry. Not the quarry where these came from. I don't think anybody knows where the quarry where these came from.
Oh, really?
But the Aswan
this particular
quarry,
kind of diorite, this dark.
there will be
granite.
spots in the wall where you can just see like a completely different type of rock,
Yeah.
just stuck like a chunk. So I'm wondering if maybe some of the scoops were just like, let's get that different type of stone out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can see on this one, they cut the entire back corner off of they've cut this whole bevel off there. And then on this one, they've done it to the front side. They've completely chopped the entire front edge
Right.
off of there for some reason, and then polished it. Right, you can see how shiny it is.
Right. Well, you said it was also really important that they didn't want cracks in there to remain and keep the integrity of them.
Yeah,
so if
keep
there
the
were
integrity,
cracks, they
yeah.
wanted to scoop them out.
That's a question. Like, is that what they were doing?
That is incredible.
Yeah.
How big that is.
Right.
Yeah.
You can walk underneath. So we're all standing on a wooden floor that's been built that's raised up above the floor the box is sitting on, and yet you can still walk beneath the lid, standing up straight. So it's the boxes are enormous.
Unbelievable, man.
You got to have them.
And
Yeah.
that lid was moved how? We don't know.
Who opened them? They were opened in antiquity, so nobody really knows. I don't know who opened them. And they're all, like I said, if you've paid attention, they're all just slid open a little bit, right? Just enough to get inside. In some cases, I'm not sure you
I don't
could
know
actually
how you could
squeeze
get
in
in
there.
that.
You can get in most of them.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like 3 feet
Yeah.
off this end.
Yeah. There's an opening in the back you can get into
I see.
for sure. Yeah, because you can see how far.
And how would you even move that top part? Like today, if you wanted to move it, how the fuck would you do that? In that tiny little space.
Yeah.
You could use hydraulics,
Yeah.
up against the walls.
Yeah.
I mean, this is bedrock walls.
I mean,
so,
you could be, you
Oh, okay.
you can put a lot of force against those walls. They're not going anywhere.
frame it out with something, wrap it in cable, and get some winches. And I have no idea.
Pushing it would be
Pushing
easier.
it would be easier than pulling on it. Yeah, which is interesting because a lot of them are pushed. The lids are shifted towards the central walkway from the back, which
is suggests you put something.
They put something against the wall, and yeah.
Right.
Here's Kyle. This kind of gives you the scale, right? That's Kyle standing on the upper edge of one of the. This is a box made of the rose granite, so it's different than the rest of them. Yeah,
that's one.
Yeah,
And it has no lid?
the lid is in the hallway. It's
Gigantic, and it has
lighter.
bosses. It has the nubs on it.
Yeah, there he is
really?
down inside the
Is he praying?
interior. This is
I was trying.
completely legal science.
I prayed.
Totally legal. Is he praying?
I was praying.
Praying to the box god.
Please tell me what these were
So
for.
the inside of that thing doesn't look smooth.
Yeah, this one isn't finished in the same way that the rest of them are. You can
Right.
see on the outside here, it's I mean, it's beautiful still, but it isn't polished like the other ones. This just kind of shows you. The other thing is that the question about how did they get them in there? They weigh a lot and they're enormous, and there's no like dropping the boxes in and then building the roof because this is all cut into the bedrock. These are tunnels that were just basically drilled through the bedrock.
Right.
So they had to maneuver them through these long hallways.
And they were almost as wide as the hallways themselves.
Yeah, like this one.
Holy
What the?
shit.
What?
So this one, this
It's
is
magic.
This
It's
is another.
magic.
Yeah,
It's got to be magic.
this is another point of the whole unfinished concept. Like they didn't finish the job. They were in the middle of transporting boxes to their places in their alcoves, and they didn't quite get it done. Most of the boxes are in place. They're polished. They're finished out. But this one is rough cut. It isn't polished, and it hasn't been completely moved into place yet.
And its lid is also sitting in
Its
the
lid is
hallway.
laying in the hallway too.
Near the entrance.
It looks like if the lid was on it, it almost wouldn't fit.
Right. That's. It does seem like there's
Unless the lid was brought in separately.
There's two ways to look at this. Like that may be why they're moving this one without the lid. That also might be why the lids have bevels.
Those angles?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why you would want to move them together. That
It
makes
just
the job
makes it
even
harder.
harder.
Yeah, move them separately.
Man, this is the biggest fucking mystery.
This is showing you the scale. And again, remember that he's standing on a raised platform. The box is sitting on the original floor.
Yeah.
Like 6 or 7 inches
And
down.
they built the
farther.
floor around the fucking
But it's
box.
still taller than he is. You have to look up to see the edge of the box.
If you need to get past this to get to the other boxes, and you open up those other boxes to get shit out, how do you get it past
There
here?
are two
Right.
ways out.
Oh, there's
There are
two ways
more
out,
than
okay.
actually. I think there are probably 3 ways out, and maybe possibly more. We haven't. There are some places down here that are still just closed off, and some collapsed.
Oh.
I can go back to the map here.
Oh, okay.
This is the box that we're looking at in the hallway. This is its lid.
Wow.
So this is the all the beautiful, like we showed you a bunch of pictures of these guys in these, and look how they're kind of staggered. None of them are like exactly facing each other. It's really interesting. This whole thing looks like a key, right? So you got this box, and then there's a space. That space is opposite this other box. So there's always a wall facing the alcove. Like if you needed to mount machinery to work on this box and get it in place, you have a place to mount it right here,
Or push it,
or push it to get it in there. And then each alcove is a deep hole, right? So you're walking in these hallways, and then where the boxes are
Lower.
they're set down lower to the point to where the lids are almost at foot level, like so that you can kind of just slide the lid in on top of the box. It's interesting how it's set up like that. So yeah, this is what we were looking at. Let me go back to where we were.
Thanks, Gregor, for the map.
We really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
dude,
Gregor.
this is incredible. I've never seen any kind of map of this like that. It really puts it into perspective. It's great.
And yeah, you can see how this box is, it's a little wonky. Like they haven't,
it is.
they've
wavy.
They've made it, it's going to be a box. It's hollowed out and it's got a lid, but they haven't, flattened it and polished it and this also implies that they did all that on site in its place. They weren't doing it on the surface and then moving them down in, which is another interesting implication about precision. Because we were talking about, the precision flat plates that they make out of granite. They're in climate controlled places because if you let the temperature change or humidity change or whatever, it will shift around.
The granite, the shape and size of it can change. Yeah.
So if you want to make a hermetic seal like Kyle was talking about, you have to do all the finishing work down in the tunnels.